I would like to begin this video with a land acknowledgement. We wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron, Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. Nothing I say is necessarily directly affiliated with the University of Toronto. I'm just using the land acknowledgement from my school. Thank you. All right, so we are on to the third type of question, which is my personal favorite type of question. These are the personal questions. And so in order to answer this question, you're just going to be following the STAR+L framework, which includes number one, talking about the situation or scenario. Then number two, you're going to be talking about the task or what was your task or role in the situation. Number three, what action did you end up taking? Number four, what was the result of this action? And the final thing you're going to do is tie it in nicely to medicine and talk about what lesson you learned and what you can take away moving forward as a medical student. This is really easy. These are my favorite type of questions. Okay, maybe I'm being biased because I've had a lot of experiences, but all you have to do is talk about your experience. And so if you've gone ahead and followed my instruction in the first video, you would have already made a table with all of your different experiences. So this is going to be an absolute breeze. So sit back, relax, and enjoy answering this type of question because it's going to be fun. You're just talking about yourself. Pause the video, read the question, and take time to answer the question using the STAR+L framework. Once you finish, return and watch how I answer the question. Of course, in this situation, our answers should not be the same unless your name happens to be Tracy Apiakubi. So your answer will be different, but the framework should still be pretty similar. So just watch for how I answer, just for comparison's sake. So thank you so much for this question. So just as somebody who has worked quite a bit before coming into or applying to medical school and working as a nurse for a couple years, I've had quite a few opportunities to fail. And so it's not hard for me to find an example of a time that I've failed. And at this point in my life, I've come to appreciate failure as an opportunity for growth because that's really what it is. And so something that I really struggled with when I first began nursing was my ability to give report. And in general, I've always struggled with talking or speaking clearly and succinctly. So this was something that I definitely found really challenging as I was beginning my career as a nurse. And so when I first got started, I remember when I would give report, I would kind of just talk about anything and go all over the place without having a proper structure in place. So maybe sometimes I would start by talking about the gastrointestinal system and then circle back and talk about their cardiac and eventually come back and talk about their genital urinary. And so I was just kind of like a mess. And the person getting report from me didn't necessarily get the report in an organized fashion. And there was one particular time when another nurse who was more experienced actually did mention to me that they weren't happy with how I gave report. And I will be honest and say initially, like, my heart sunk down into my stomach just because even though I knew it was something that I struggled with, it was difficult to hear at first. But once I realized that this person was genuinely trying to not only look out for the patient, but was also looking out for me and telling me and giving me this criticism. So what I ended up doing is going back and trying to find out what the issue was with the way I gave report. Afterwards, I tried to then look at how other nurses were giving report simply by looking at how they gave report to me when I would receive report from them. And I tried to then build on that and come up with my own structure of how to give report and how to take report too. And fortunately, over time, I was able to come up with a cheat sheet where I would start with very identifying factors of my patient, and then I'd work from head to toe in the same way that I would go and assess the patient. That is how I would give the report to the oncoming nurse. And so eventually I was able to come up with a cheat sheet and an organized way to give report. And that really helped me out throughout nursing to the point where eventually I was able to get rid of the cheat sheet. But this is just one way that I was able to improve after having failed. Although I don't see it as a complete failure, I just saw it as an opportunity for growth. And in these opportunities, it's a chance for you to collaborate. So you're collaborating with the people who provide you criticism and trying to build a plan of how to improve. For me, this particular situation was also an opportunity to improve my communication skills. So by having this cheat sheet, I was able to clearly communicate with the oncoming nurse what exactly was going on with the patient and ensure that the patient was also safe. Finally, being able to recover, I guess, from a failure is an opportunity to build resilience. And I'm going to need that as a medical student just because I'm not always going to have the answers. And so I need to make sure that I'm resilient in trying to learn from whatever challenges come up. And so these are all things that I'm hoping to take with me into medical school and beyond. I'm going to need to be able to collaborate with everybody that I work with. I'm going to need to be able to communicate clearly and effectively. And finally, I'm going to need to be resilient just because I know I'm going to face a lot of challenges along the way. So thank you so much for this question, and thank you for your time. So that is how I'd approach any type of personal question. Again, I would just always refer back to the STAR+L method. In this situation, I didn't follow it to a T, but for the most part, I covered each component of the STAR+L. In general, I'm really good with any questions regarding failure. I've just had a lot of experiences, and because I try a lot of new things, I'm really comfortable failing. So this question comes quite naturally to me. Hopefully you have some experiences where you failed. Nobody's perfect, so you should have a situation where you've done something wrong and you've gotten better and you've shown growth. And I'd love to hear about that in the comments. So please comment down below any situation where you failed and how you improved. And plus, it'll be practice for you to get used to answering that question. So there you go. So I hope you liked this video on personal questions, and I hope you continue to watch my other videos for more tips on how to answer med school interview questions. Please like, comment, and share this video, especially if you know somebody else is preparing for med school interviews. See you later. Bye.